Now last year's OnePlus Watch 2 was effing marvellous. I don't like to gush, at least not in that sense, but seriously, it was one of the best Wear OS watches that I've personally reviewed. Although it wasn't quite perfect. So it was with extreme delight that I first slapped the OnePlus Watch 3 onto my arm roughly a fortnight ago to see if they've sorted out all the wee kinks and possibly produced the best smartwatch of 2025. So this is my OnePlus Watch 3 review, and for more on the latest and greatest tech, please do poke subscribe and ding that notifications bell. Cheers! Now the OnePlus Watch 3 comes in a single size. It'll cost you 299 quid here in Blighty, or 349 euros if you live elsewhere. And this right here is the Emerald Titanium model, but you can also grab it in Obsidian Titanium. And bugger all prizes for guessing what they're made of. Actually, it's just the bezel that's constructed from titanium. The case in itself remains stainless steel. You've got that same tapered finish as the previous generation, complete with a textured rotating crown and a bit of shortcut button action. And once again, you've got sapphire crystal glass protecting that display, which is almost completely flush with the bezels. This watch is also IP68 water and dust resistant, can survive up to depths of 5 atmospheres, and apparently it's been subjected to a veritable onslaught of military standard 810H testing. I got the full list here, so apparently it can survive in low pressure, high and low temperatures, it can survive strong humidity, salt spray, vibration, impact, fluid contamination, so you can get quite excited around it, acidic atmosphere, apparently, whatever that means. So basically, the OnePlus Watch 3 is an absolute hard case. It'd probably deck you one if you spilled its pint. And of course, it comes bundled with your typical rubber strap, which has been perfectly comfortable to wear this past fortnight. But as always, this is your standard 22mm effort, which can be quickly snapped off. It's quickly snapped off if you've actually got fingernails. So you can slap on a new one when you want to change up the aesthetics or whatever, no worries. So overall, gotta say, rather like the aesthetics of the OnePlus Watch 3. It's a smart, sleek design. Nothing too fancy, but curves in all the right places. And yes, the OnePlus Watch 3 is kinda chunky, but it's not excessively girthy, unlike some rivals, if not quite as subtle as something like a Pixel Watch 3. Now for the OnePlus Watch Generation 3, you've got a slightly enlarged 1.5-inch screen now, bit of a beast. And it's once again AMOLED tech. So as before, crispy contrast with really deep blacks, nice crisp bright whites, and it's LTPO, so it scales all the way down to 1 Hz when, for instance, it's just the always on display onshore. And can scale all the way up to 60 Hz when you're zipping around the various Wear OS menus, etc. And that brightness can also bump up to just over 2000 nits, but only when you're in workout mode when outdoors and it's proper sunny, apparently. But certainly that auto brightness has done its job well these past couple of weeks, reacting instantly when you head outdoors and that sunlight strikes the screen. I've had bugger all problems with visibility even when I've headed outdoors, and it has actually been a wee bit sunny, which did happen for like 15 minutes one day last week. And setup is nice and straightforward. Basically just download the OHealth app, which you can grab from the likes of Google's Play Store. You find the two pair up and you'll have your watch set up in just a few minutes, no worries. And from within the OHealth app, you can customize your smartwatch. You can stick on a new watch face. It's a parental control mode, which is very good if you're going to be handing it off to a sprog. Although admittedly, the OnePlus Watch 3 may look comedically enormous on anyone under 16. You can also play around with the tiles, which is basically just the widgets which appear when you flick left and right. You can set exactly which apps are allowed to send your watch a notification. You can also set up all your various health stats, etc. And if you've used a Wear OS smartwatch in recent times, well, you'll know exactly what to expect from the OnePlus Watch 3. You got all your various tiles which you can flick between like so. And hallelujah, that rotating crown is actually functional now. OnePlus appears to have listened to the feedback from the previous generation, so now you can flick down to skim through all your notifications. You can also flick in the opposite direction to bring up all your toggles. And of course, this also works for skimming through your various apps, etc. You can also push that crown in order to bring up the apps menu, just laid out very much like it is on the Apple Watch, quick and easy navigation. And with those watch faces, OnePlus again appears to have listened to feedback from the previous generation, because mercifully very few of the watch faces that are slapped on the OnePlus Watch 3 by default are marred by the OnePlus branding. Only a few of them have the name in big bold caps, but the majority have done away with it. And again, there's a pretty decent selection on OHealth that you can upload to the watch. including all kinds of different designs, big numbers if you do struggle with your eyesight a bit, a few super complicated digital ones packed with info, some more stylish efforts, some more jazzy, colourful numbers. Admittedly, the layout could be a little bit better, but there is an all watch faces section down at the very bottom when you keep on scrolling, so basically just have a dive into here, skim through and find any that you might like and get them stuck on the watch. There is also an option of sticking a video watch face onto your OnePlus Watch 3. Unfortunately, I've really struggled with this feature these past couple of weeks. And basically, if I try uploading any video, it tends to just say can't load some photos. Unless the video itself happens to be around 5 seconds or less, it can't deal with anything longer than that. Can't just crop down longer videos, sadly, but hopefully this is just a minor inconvenience, a bug that's going to be sorted out. Because when it works, it really does help to bring the OnePlus Watch 3 to life. Notification support also pretty decent, as I say, just flip this way and you can skim through all of your notifications that have built up there on the watch since you last checked it out. You can set exactly which apps are allowed to notify you. Unfortunately, with doorbell alerts, I still can't actually see who is stood there. I just get an alert saying that there's somebody lurking outside the front door. Not great. But as this is Wear OS, you can reply directly to messages via the smartwatch. The keyboard actually isn't completely terrible, mostly thanks to the autocorrect, but of course you're much better off using your voice instead. I gotta say though, I did think, given the size of the OnePlus Watch 3, that the haptics would have, a good bit of force behind them, but even on the strong setting, it's been pretty subtle. By which I mean it's actually about as strong as a ladybird's fart. That's perhaps a little harsh. I usually am aware that something has ticked through and just get that little rumble on there, but sometimes if I am busy doing something, I completely miss that buzz and don't realize I've got, 3 or 4 messages waiting for me. No complaints with the contactless payments, however, and of course you can access the Google Assistant at any point by holding down that rotating crown. The mic does a pretty good job of picking up what I'm trying to say at it, even when it's fairly noisy all around. Basically, my wife and my daughter are kicking off at each other again. And the speaker's okay, although, as usual, not the loudest, even on the peak volume. When is Sunderland playing next?
Sunderland will play Luton Town today at 7:45 p.m.
And of course, you can answer calls on your phone via the watch. I don't believe there's an eSIM variant of this at all. It's Wi-Fi only, so you'll need your phone on you at all times. Again, you can basically hear what people are saying on this thing, even if you're on a really busy, noisy high street, as long as you kind of stick it up to your ear a bit and don't mind looking a wee bit mental to anyone who happens to be passing by. And new for the 3rd generation of OnePlus Watch, you can also use the watch as a remote control for your smartphone camera. You can also use it to remote control YouTube videos, etc. But only if you have it paired up with a OnePlus or an Oppo watch. Any other brands, you're out of luck. Now, of course, the OnePlus Watch 3 boasts all this standard health tracking shenanigans, how many steps you've walked, how many calories you've possibly burned, can constantly monitor the likes of your heart rate and your SpO2 levels, and also now your wrist temperature. And it all seems to be pretty accurate, certainly compared with some rivals from the likes of Xiaomi. You've also now got full ECG support, so this smartwatch can take a 30-second ECG scan just by pushing your finger against that shortcut button. And if you keep doing this over time, it can help detect any dodgy rhythms. And apparently this feature will be available in different regions at different times because of all the medical shenanigans that's involved. Apparently here in the UK, it won't be coming until Q3 because of MHRA certification type shindiggery. And rather than running all of these tests individually, you've now got a 60-second health checkup feature, quite similar to what you get on the likes of Huawei smartwatches. And this combines heart rate, SpO2 levels, ECG, arterial stiffness, etc., giving you a brief synopsis of how utterly f***ed your flabby frame is. And personally, I found the arterial stiffness management seemed to flip between absolutely fine and stiffer than a porn star who's just mistaken a pack of Viagra for Tic Tacs. And let me tell you, having a bright red abnormality warning flashing up on that dinky screen doesn't do wonders for your stress levels, and something else that this watch happens to measure. Now, apparently for the OnePlus Watch 3, OnePlus will be introducing a new feature called 360 Mind and Body. Haven't had a chance to test this out yet, but apparently this collects all of your health data across 30 days and nights. And it can then serve up personalized stress relief suggestions. It sounds nice and all, but I'll probably just stick with my usual stress busting regime, who's getting blackout drunk whenever possible. In the meantime, this watch does cough out a general overall score, telling you how stressed you are. Quickly and easily see if you're on the verge of a mental breakdown. And of course, the OnePlus Watch 3 also sports the usual exercise tracking shenanigans, so you can quickly and easily jump into one of your favourite workouts. With quite a varied selection of shenanigans on here. Cycling, swimming, yoga, dancing, outdoor workouts, ball sports, winter sports, water sports, including the likes of motorboating, kayaking, rafting, yada yada. And of course, all these stats are shared with OHealth on your phone, so you can check them out again at a future date. And of course, it's fairly basic for most of these sport types. Basically, just keep track on what your heart was up to the entire time, get a rough idea of how many calories you burned, etc. If you're doing something outdoors like walking or running, you get a bit more info, including full GPS readout as well. You've got dual band GPS support, which seems to be pretty accurate, a little bit wavy here and there, but overall good stuff. As you can see, you can check out your overall pace, your fastest mile, your slowest mile, bit of cadence action if you're interested in all of that. And also pretty dependable auto tracking for walking, running, all that kind of stuff as well. Normally if I've been walking for roughly a mile or so, I'll get a little message ping up and say, do you want to track this walk, yes or no? And of course it begins the tracking from when you actually started walking, which is great, rather than the point where you get the message. And of course the OnePlus Watch 3 sports the obligatory sleep tracking as well, so you can see roughly how much light and deep sleep you enjoyed the night before. Get a sleep score as well based on, again, how well you slept. You can also keep tabs on your respiration rate throughout the night, as well as basically every twitch, snore and fart. And over time you can see if there's any changes in your sleep patterns. As for the brains of the operation, well, the OnePlus Watch 3 is powered by the same clever-ass dual architecture setup as before. You've got a slightly upgraded efficiency chipset, which basically handles all of the background tasks and basic stuff like steps tracking, etc. And then when you actually wake up the OnePlus Watch 3 and you're skimming through Wear OS and running your various apps, it swaps to the Snapdragon W5, which is the same performance chipset as the previous generation. And the performance has been absolutely brilliant here on the OnePlus Watch 3 in the past fortnight that I've been testing it, and the battery life has been bloody brilliant as well, helped along by the fact that the battery capacity has increased now from 500 mAh to 631. Now, the entire time I've been testing this thing, I've had basically all of the main features switched on. So the always on display has been active. I've had the 24-hour health tracking shenanigans. I've worn it every night, done a good bit of sleep tracking on this thing with the respiration rate and everything switched on too. And I found that a full charge of the OnePlus Watch 3 will still deliver approximately 4 full days and nights of use. And that also includes a 20-minute boxing session every day, plenty of walking, tracking and all that kind of shenanigans too. I've been making liberal use of the timers and various other apps on here. So certainly one of the best Wear OS options for battery life in 2025, if not quite as good as the likes of the Huawei and the Xiaomi watches, which don't have Wear OS, which can generally last up to a week or sometimes even over a week. Can also last a good couple of weeks in power saver mode, apparently, if you don't mind not using all of the smarter features. And if you are buggering off for a good week or two, well, no worries, the charging dock is nice and dinky. Just bung a USB-C cable in it and job done. It's not wireless charging, of course, though, as you can see there, it is a pin connection dock. You get a full charge of the OnePlus Watch 3 in roughly 80 minutes. Now, it is a bit longer than the OnePlus Watch 2 because, of course, that battery capacity has significantly increased. But if you chuck it on the dock for just 10 minutes or so, you'll get roughly a full day of use. And there you have it, my lovelies. That is your Uncle Spert's full final frank review of the OnePlus Watch 3 after having it slapped on my spindly wee arm for a good couple of weeks. And I gotta say, massive fan. Once again, it probably is my favorite Wear OS watch. Slick performance, brilliant battery life, some excellent features packed on there. The full Wear OS experience, of course. But again, not quite perfect, a couple of wee quirks in there, and the haptic feedback could be a wee bit better, but minor grumbles at best. So that's what this bald northern twat reckons anyway, but what do you reckon of the OnePlus Watch 3? Be great to your thoughts down in the comments below. If you're tempted, well, let us know. If you think it's a hot bag of arse expulsions, well, definitely feel free to regurgitate all your thoughts down there as well, as long as that's all you regurgitate. And please do poke subscribe, ding that notifications bell for more on the latest and greatest tech, and have yourselves a ruddy, wonderful rest of the week. Cheers, everyone. Love you.